paraphernalia? When were they applied to the windows? Were they in a CIA crime lab, an FBI crime lab? Or is it really this guy? How could he drive around like that without being pulled over? Look, here's the thing. There's something in this for everyone. Those of you on the Republican side, are you going to say it looks like a phony setup? It looks like he's the patsy, like you said there would be yesterday. You're right. You're going to say, remember what I said? Where's the Lee Harvey Oswald? Here he is, right? Here's the Lee Harvey Oswald. We got him now. Now, if a Jack Ruby appears before he makes a statement, we'll know it's a complete faker. Let's pray to God there's no Jack Ruby that's also going to be released from a lab somewhere, some training lab. Now, having said that, on the other side, they're convinced that you are all nuts like him. Remember, I want you to see the world through the eyes of an Upper East Side New York liberal. I want you to imagine what it's like to wake up and immediately reach for your antidepressant and your antipsychotic medication. That's even before you brush your teeth. You then do a speed dial to your psychiatrist to confirm the appointment later that morning. You then immediately turn on the news and you start raging, and you have your minute of hate against Donald Trump. Later on in the day, you turn on Michael Savage. Again, you get your minute of rage, your minute of hate. You listen to me, and you have another minute of hate. Do you have any idea what this does to them? Do you have any idea what an Upper East Side wackadoodle left-wing fanatic is saying today? Do you realize they're breaking out their medication today? They're going to celebrate. They're going to share meds tonight. I mean, they don't drink. We know that's dangerous. They're going to share their meds over a latte before the sun is setting today. There's going to be a med-sharing latte party tonight somewhere in New York City. All around the city, they're going to break open their bottles of whatever the medication is used for psychosis. I don't even know what's used today. So there's enough to go around for both sides. And I would be remiss, because no one else will do it, to say to you, if he does not clearly represent what mass hysteria is on both sides, I'd like to know who does. The man is a walking example of America's insanity. And if you think he is alone in having been triggered by George Soros, Hillary Clinton, and all of the left-wing fanatics and America haters, you're mistaken. And there's a lot more like him out there who are much more dangerous than him. And I'll let that hang in the air.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Take 1 atom of nitrogen and bond it with 1 atom of oxygen. Boom, you just created nitric oxide, a miracle molecule your own body makes that fuels your cardiovascular health, keeping you vibrant. But as we all age, our bodies need help generating more natural nitric oxide. Super Beets by Human has harnessed the power of nutrient-enriched beets and created a superfood that helps your body make more nitric oxide on its own. The core philosophy of Human is to develop heart-healthy products for your body. 1 teaspoon of Super Beets daily tends to support your cardiovascular health and blood pressure levels, giving you natural energy without the need of a quick caffeine kick or sugar high. We're talking real, healthful, natural energy. So call 800-481-0504 or go to SavageLovesBeets.com and find out how you can get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets and free shipping with your first purchase. I want you to feel the 1 + 1 = boom effect of Super Beets. Just call 800-481-0504 or SavageLovesBeets.com. Enough meat for both sides of the insane America that we now live in. And I just tweeted, Man and Van look like created by Hollywood. In other words, if you were Steven Spielberg and company, and you were tasked with creating a villain, Trump supporter, right-wing nut kook, and you had to give him a set of wheels. I mean, could you do better than this if you're writing a movie? Come on, many of you are screenwriters who listen to me. And you couldn't do better. The man is central casting nutcase. The only thing wrong with the picture for the left-wing haters of this country is that he's not a white male. That's the one thing that throws it off. Claims he's a Seminole, and yet some postings claim he's from the Philippines, and that his grandfather developed his own style of martial arts to fight communists. We don't know really much about that. Some sites say he's a registered Democrat, changed to Republican, registering with the GOP in Florida in March of 2016. Cesar Altieri Randazzo is his name on Facebook, Randazzo. And he says his grandfather, Colonel Baltazar Zouk Sayak, was a martial arts practitioner who developed his own style of fighting, Sayak Kali. Sayak says that style was used to fight the Communist Party of the Philippines. There's a detailed website about this fighting style. On that LinkedIn profile, Mr. Sayak calls himself a promoter, booking agent, and choreographer of a male stripping show, as well as burlesque shows in the Miami area. Sorry. Okay, so, look, there's a lot here. You can laugh at, chuckle at some of it. You can breathe a sigh of relief that he's not a truly dangerous man. The bombs looked fake to everyone who studied them yesterday. They looked like they couldn't go off. They looked like they were made by a child for Halloween. But nevertheless, they were frightening. And the biggest question that frightened everyone yesterday was how could they get into all of these high-end people's mailboxes and such without any video footage? I mean, where is the surveillance footage on Soros's property? Where is the footage at the Chappaqua property of the Clintons? These should show us if it was him. Who delivered this stuff? All right, let's take some callers because I'm opening it up to you. Again, I conclude with one line. The man in the van looked like they were created by Hollywood to me. And I hope that there's no Jack Ruby coming next in the cast of characters. That's all I can say. All right? And at least we now know that Trump did not collude with the Russians. It was with the Seminole tribe. That's the main thing we should know. If you want to be serious about it, you can be serious. You could lighten it up a bit and say, let's breathe a sigh of relief. And by the way, where is the invasion today? How far have they gotten in Mexico? How close are they to our border? Anyone have an answer to that one? I do. I'll be back with that news and more right here on the Savage Nation. I invite you to call at 855-40. You just know the know-nothings in New York are celebrating today, saying, you see that? Look at that. Just what we thought. Cracker in that van. Look at that. Now, how does mass hysteria begin? It starts with Google, for example, who create algorithms which redirect young people to sites that Google thinks they should see, progressive sites that advance their agenda. And this type of thought manipulation is how you begin to move centrists to the left and leftists to pure madness. Encouraged by Google, people start turning into leftist television and film so-called comedians and actors, many of whom have become Democrat Party mouthpieces. And when the seeds have been planted and the mind control begun, the ground is fertile to cultivate mass hysteria. That is how supposedly objective media like the New York Times and CNN work, relying on, preying on the public short memory. John Q. Stupid forgot or never learned that the real danger is the masses' wishes, inclinations, and passions. As John Adams cautioned, the corrupt mainstream media encourages people to be afraid. Afraid of Trump, afraid of Russia, afraid of extreme weather. But they're never encouraged to fear Hillary or Pelosi or Warren or immigrant gangs, forces that serve the left's agenda, although they should. The blitz from Wolf Blitzer and the rest causes a brutalized, frightened, susceptible public to buy papers, watch TV, and visit websites to see the latest developments in what they've been told they should be worried about. And I give you examples in Stop Mass Hysteria. I've read directly from my book. Because if you look at the book, if you've actually bought it, you'll see it's not so partisan as you may expect. It's pretty neutral. Now, the nutcase himself, according to his lawyer, Ronald Scott Lowy, an attorney who says he's represented Sayak in previous cases, has told reporters that his former client, quote, has always had problems dealing with life. Lowy added, I felt that he wasn't always in his right mind. Lowy also suggests or alleges that Sayak altered his date of birth because he wanted to look younger. The attorney added that the 56-year-old was proud of his heritage as, quote, an American Indian. So we're getting a couple of different reports, American Indian, Filipino, which is I'm not casting aspersions on Native Americans in any way, nor upon Philippine people, but we're just giving you reports that are coming in because everyone's curious as to who done it. That's what it comes down to. It's a who done it. That's what we're all doing, who done it. And so the left wing is sighing with relief because it fulfills their worst stereotype of a right winger. If you were a woman in Manhattan and you walked around in her brain, in her body for, well, I don't want to do it that. Let's say you were her walking around in her body for one afternoon and walking the streets of Manhattan. Anyone who looks like this is a right-wing MAGA bomber. Anyone who votes for Trump is a Nazi. This is how they see the world. So this confirms their worst fears. Confirms their worst fears. Now, if you're a Republican who loves America and not extremist at all, let's say you're a fiscal conservative, a modest social conservative, and you oppose the dissolution of our borders, for example, you're actually a little nervous today because you're saying, I don't want to be associated with this guy. Who would? I have to just drop any affiliation now with Trump or the Republican Party. I mean, I may vote for them, but I'm really embarrassed to be associated with them. This is the human action. I'm not reading a script. I'm telling you the way it is. I have my best guesses, Now this one out here, the empty skirt in California, Kamala Harris, has come out. She also got one, too. See, unless you get one, or got one, you're no longer on the A-list of left-wingers. You're not in the league of Hillary, Waters, Soros, Obama, and Holder. You got to be on the A-list. In order to be on the A-list, you need to be on the list of those receiving these packages. So you're going to see a lot more now, just before Halloween. Well, is this him? Is he a patsy? Is this another repeat of another patsy job? Because the man in the van looked awfully constructed to old Mike. Yeah, he's a nut, for sure, and probably his fingerprints are on it. Now it turns out he threatens celebrities on Twitter. I just got that now. From Variety, just came out. Sent to old Mike by a friend of mine. Jim Carrey, Ron Howard among celebrities threatened on Twitter by mail bomb suspect. So now how do you compute this? Jim Carrey and Ron Howard? Is that Ron Jeremy? Ron Howard. I'm sorry. I see the word Ron. Jim Carrey and Ron Howard among celebrities threatened on Twitter by mail bomb suspect. Let's see who mail bomb. Cesar Sayak. Sayak apparently used these accounts to directly threaten a number of actors and politicians, including Jim Carrey, Ron Howard, Rob Reiner, George Soros, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and others. So now they're all on the A-list. They can all sigh with relief. They've made the cut. They can now be invited to a high-end cocktail party at the whatever they're raising money for the left wing. Fox News. Okay, so we're going to see what emerges over the next few days. And the suspect did attack George Soros' home. I don't understand how the gardener got the alleged bomb and set it off in the field, and there's no remnant of it. I'm still going to ask to the end of this whole charade, where's the surveillance footage of the individual who planted put these devices, these impotent devices, into the mailboxes? I want to see one picture of it. Let's take one call, okay? This is a hot day. Everyone's very excited. The minute we saw this morning, I said, personally, this is going to be one of the toughest shows I ever did because I know my enemies are gloating today saying you were wrong, you said there was a false flag. Well, if you look at the narrative of what I said there's a high likelihood or a high probability it could be a false flag. And to this day, I'm not so sure it isn't. Because there's too many things about his van and about him that are a little too convenient at this particular time. I mean, not to be comedic in the political arena, I'm telling you, I'm not 100% sure this is the whole story that we're seeing. I remain skeptical. I question authority. That's how I have been since I'm a little boy. And I have found no reason in my adult life to stop questioning authority, whether that authority be on one side of the aisle or the other. I certainly question those in the media, including those on my side of the aisle, who I question even more than CNN, because I know a lot about them that you don't know. I mean, we know we can attack CNN and MSNBC. They're easy. But, if you ever knew what I knew that I can't say about people on my side who pretend to be great patriots and wonderful, kind Americans, if I could ever tell you what gets me crazy every day when I hear them talk, you'd understand how nonpartisan I actually am. WSBA, Mike, line 9, go ahead, please.
Yes, Dr. Savage, you are a modern-day Erasmus. You predicted all these things to take place in your book, The Enemy Within. It's amazing. I mean, as Erasmus would say about the ACLU lawyers, a most learned species of profound ignorance. And you spell it all out, you, sir, make Erasmus look like an...
Oh, wait, you're going back to a book I wrote in 2006, The Enemy Within, where I appear on the cover in a raincoat, that picture?
Yes, I am, sir.
That's funny that you should still reference that book.
Well,
I haven't looked at it. I haven't dusted it off in a long time. But I do know that there's a reference in the beginning that's been widely picked up, which is the dedication, and then it goes to Cicero. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and carries his banner openly. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate freely. His sly whispers rustling through all the alleys, heard in the very halls of government itself. You see, for the traitor appears not a traitor. He speaks in accents familiar to his victims, and he wears their face in their arguments. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep in the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of a nation. He works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of the city. He infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to fear. I mean, I can give you 5 names that come to mind right now. Who comes to mind when I read that to you?
Wow. I'll tell you what. I'm just got goosebumps from you reading that. Well,
there are enough names to fill this a whole new book.
Wow.
There are enough names to fill the entire book. There are enough enemies within this nation to fill an entire book. How we've gone from Plymouth Rock to Plymouth Crock in one generation. I mean, there's pretty good stuff in there. And the book concludes with enemies within the newsroom. So this is nothing new to me. I've watched this for a long time. And it's very sad to see that the left wing has not yet stopped their riling up these marginal characters. Let's assume for a minute that the guy is the guy who mailed these impotent little devices, right? And he did it on his own, and he's not a patsy of the deep state. Let's for a minute assume that. Who is it who triggered him into this state of fear and paranoia? The very people that he sent them to. You could say I'm justifying it, which I am not doing. You could say anything you want. You can categorize me in a way that I would be very, very angry, but I know you're doing it anyway, those of you who are the enemies of truth. If you were a marginal guy on the bottom, living on the edge with almost no money, and you had a fear of communists, which his family apparently has had since a couple of generations, if the Philippine ancestry turns out to be true, and you heard the speeches of Hillary Clinton, if you saw who George Soros has been funding, if you saw an army advancing on the southern border and who was encouraging this invasion, and you saw the constant assault upon your Christian values, your family values, you also might snap and become crazy. So I'm telling you on the left to cool it, because if you think this guy is bad, you're mistaken. Bad is not him. You know, there's an old saying in the radio business, and again, I learned it from my first program director. He's now working there again. I used to get death threats in the mail when I first started in radio, and they very deeply upset me because I never had that happen to me. Simply for expressing my views, I was getting death threats. And my program director at KSFO said to me, remember, a flasher never kills. It's the ones you don't see who are the dangerous ones. This guy is like a flasher. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? This guy is like a flasher. Okay? He's not the rapist. The real killers are out there. And if you keep provoking them, what you've seen in the last few days will be seen for what it really is, a Halloween show. So I'm warning you leftists to calm down your rhetoric and stop hating Trump and stop hating America and stop putting us down as right-wing buffoons, because you're going to wind up in real trouble with them. And it's not me. I'm only a talk show host. But I would say there's a couple of 100,000 ex-military, current military, ex-police, current police, militia members who wouldn't be sending Halloween Mickey Mouse bombs if they really wanted to hurt somebody. This is not a threat. I'm giving you a reality check. Loose lips sink ships. Back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.
All right, we're going to go back to the serious topic of what we're talking about in a minute, but I'm going to tell you again, if I didn't get a good night's sleep, I wouldn't be able to do this. That's the truth. I'm a great sleeper. And if you think I'm lying to you about sleeping on my Casper mattress, you'd be mistaken. I sleep on it every night because it gives me the best night's sleep, period. When I travel, I don't sleep as well because I don't have the Casper. And it is the high-quality mattress at a very affordable price. You'll sleep cool and comfortably every night, because they have a unique combination of foams which provide the right pressure relief and alignment. And this great mattress comes right to your door for free in a small How They Do It box. You don't like it, they'll pick it up and refund you every dime. It's greatly engineered, well packaged, but best of all, try it for 100 nights for free. They have over 35,000 five-star reviews of all their products across Casper, Google, and Amazon. And you know sleeping on a mattress is the best way to try it. We all know that. Would you please put Casper to the test in your own home for 100 nights, risk-free? Just go to Casper.com, code SAVAGE, and you'll get $50 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code SAVAGE, for $50 towards the purchase of select mattresses. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
Oh, my God. 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. 6 ways to Sunday at getting back at you. I wonder if this is one of the ways to Sunday. But those of you who are skeptical about anything that I say today or any other day, I'm going to ask you a question, and I would invite your call, because I would welcome a rational discussion today. He has a van, which we've all seen. It's covered with stickers, right-wing stickers, if you want to call it that, on all those windows, back windows, side windows, which is illegal in Florida. How in the world can you, for a minute, sit there and tell me that this doesn't look like it's constructed, like it's made up? How can you? The guy would have been stopped in 5 seconds in Wasserman County if he was driving around like that. Wasserman County has laws about obliterating your rear window. You can't drive in Wasserman County with stickers on your rear window and side window without a cop from Wasserman County stopping you. So, and then it says ISIS hunting permit. If you look at one of the stickers closely, it says ISIS hunting permit, no bagging limit, no tagging required. Yet, he made pro-ISIS posts online. There's a lot of misfires here. And I say to you at this time, Man and Van look like created by Hollywood. It doesn't mean he himself is not a nut. It doesn't mean he's not a useful patsy. But we don't know yet. And someone said, Michael, your description yesterday of the guy they'd pin this on, MAGA hat, Confederate flag, sounds right on the money. Only thing you didn't envision was a van slathered in pro-Trump images. Once again, you were correct. I was, by and large, on the money with that one. And thank you very much for listening to the show so clearly. But, listen, there's something I got to tell you. Whether you're on the left or the right, your minds are made up. There's absolutely nothing that's going to change your minds on anything. It's the independents who have been moved by this, and they've been moved away from the Republican sweep. The left and right is not changing their opinion. The left still thinks that we're liars and all wrong and dangerous, and the right knows the left is all wrong and always filled with liars.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
The Kalamazoo
Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation.
And people are asking some questions that the left can't ask because they lack logical faculties. They're so brainwashed. You would think skeptical, intelligent people on the left would say, why is the van so nice and clean? And how could this guy have such a clean white van after such a long drive from Florida, all over New York, Delaware, D.C.? I think he even came out to California to give a few out here. How did they get here? The Postal Service wouldn't accept them. But you people buy it, the way you thought that Barack Hussein Obama was an honest American. You people buy it the same way you think Kamala Harris has gravitas when she's just an empty skirt. You people, I could go down the list. You haven't changed my mind at all. There's just too many unanswered questions for us to jump to conclusions one way or the other here. And the bomber was caught. Great. At least we think he was, the bomber. But as I said to you, an early program director said when I was getting hate mail in the beginning of radio, I think he said a flasher doesn't rape. This kind of impotent violence, no matter how disturbing it may be, is impotent violence. The real ones wouldn't give you such a warning. The real ones out there who are capable of these things. So I would say cool the rhetoric. Don't get more agitated now, you people on the left, because you're going to trigger someone who's really going to be bad. Just cool it. Stop categorizing everyone who supports Trump as a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal. Just cut it out, because I know people with really high degrees, very successful people, far beyond anything any of you people on the left could ever imagine, who are avid Republicans who don't love Trump, but they love his message. And if you want to walk around in the delusion that you're superior to everyone who votes Republican, superior to everyone who supports Trump, go ahead and do it. No one's going to change your mind. But this is the kind of stupidity that isn't going to advance this nation in any way. So we just had a scare in America. We see a guy can somehow put package bombs in mailboxes, which unto itself I still don't believe. I have not yet seen a single frame of any video footage of the mailboxes that he allegedly put them in. And until I do, how do we know we can tie this guy to those? How? Why should we buy the story out of whole cloth? So I continue to be skeptical, and I question authority on both sides of the aisle. And I know the Bible says never trust a politician, so I'm a believer in God, not man. Men come and go. God is eternal. And that's where I'm at. If you want to chime in, go ahead. Make our day. Man and van look created by Hollywood. That's all. And you look at the bumper stickers. How many times do I have to tell you the same thing? Look at the windows on the van. They're obliterated with stickers. Call them right-wing or Trump. The rear windows, side windows. He would have been pulled over in 1 second. It looks like it was made in a factory somewhere. If you make a movie of a nut, you'd make a van like this. Polished, and stickers everywhere, pro-Trump, and you'd wheel it out for all the world to see. And people say anyone wearing a MAGA hat today is attacked because of Maxine Waters. How could that van have survived the resistance's wrath without being vandalized? Very suspicious. These are skeptical people. Another one says, another convenient Sirhan job. How deep does the state really go? A little too perfect, it would seem, but who knows? Another one says, I hope his sex life was better than the bombs he made. Oh, come on. That's funny. A little too much like Hollywood and nice and clean. You buy this farce. We don't know if he did it. And I would assume he's a nut. By everything I see in the background, he looks like a deranged nut. And he'll probably go away. And whether he'll survive even a day, we don't know yet. Whether there'll be a Jack Ruby appearing yet, we don't know. But how is this going to affect the midterms? I think is the only productive discussion we can have on the show today. I mean, I could do all the other news. I'm not interested in anything else. None of the other stories matter today. There's not a single story other than the suspect's Trump deal, that he's a bodybuilding Native American Florida strip club worker, steroid problem, made menace celebs on Twitter. Go look at the Drudge Report. You can get it all in a minute. But is it really him? Or is he a patsy? I know that Trump's rhetoric has cooled down already since these started. You do know that. I mean, you can't deny that. And I personally think it's going to have a serious dent in the midterms for the Repubs. Even if people still go out to vote, and that's another question, will they turn out to even vote now, on the Repub side, as much as they would have before this? Because America is a very centrist right nation. And whether Caesar Sayak will cool that is a real question. Now everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid now to be associated with this kind of personality. WABC David, line 8. Go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, it's all about fear and control. I just want to tell you, why I'm a liberal. So I've been listening to you for a long time, and I'm sad that you're not going to be on New York anymore. But the thing I don't like about the
Well, that's because I'm too real. I mean, you want me to level with you?
Okay.
You don't have to agree with my politics to understand that I'm more New York than anyone in New York.
Well, I just wanted to let you know, I just hate when...
Before you go on, are you going to listen to me as a podcaster in January? Because you can.
How do I do that?
It's free. You'll see once it happens. We're going to put the notice out next week. All you got to do is go to michaelsavage.com and hit one button. It goes to 7 different sites.
All right.
And so you'll be able to get the show anyway. Whether the show is broadcast on a station or not is almost irrelevant. I mean, I wish it was on in New York. I have nothing to do with it. They want somebody a little less than me, I guess. But what was your main point, David?
My point is, I was just going to make a point about the van. You said that you question authority, right? But you're always so pro-law enforcement. I don't
Well, wait a minute. Am I always pro-law enforcement? How about when the cops beat up that girl in New Jersey? Where was I on that story? I'm not always pro-law enforcement. How about when they choked that big black guy to death in Staten Island? Which side was I on then?
I don't remember.
Well, I was on the side of the guy who got choked to death at that time. So don't say I'm always pro-law enforcement. There are rogue cops just as there's rogue everything else.
Fair enough. Can I tell you why I'm not a Republican, though?
I don't care, sure.
Okay, I don't like people imposing their morality on me. If I want to smoke a joint, okay, that's not up to the government to tell me what I can put in my own body.
I understand. You're a classic American freedom-loving man. And your assumption is that Republicans want to tell you how to live your life, and it's an easy assumption to make. But actually, the reverse is generally true. It's the Democrats who run the nanny state who tell you what to think, what to eat, what to breathe, whether to use a plastic straw. They are the opposite of the free market Republicans who leave it up to the marketplace. So in the purest form, you're probably a more conservative person than you may imagine.
I know you're a Christian man, and I understand that. But I don't want people...
Well, I'm not a Christian man. I'm Jewish by birth, and I practice my faith, which is largely that of worshiping God. And so you probably don't believe in anything, right?
Didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just don't like people imposing their morality on me. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I don't think anybody does. I certainly don't want a bunch of stuffy old men telling me what I can do with my body.
Exactly.
Does that make me a leftist feminist?
Well, what about this whole law and order thing with Trump? I mean, it's always about law and order, law and order.
Well, I want more law and more order.
Right.
You don't want the streets to be safer in New York?
They are. They're much safer. You know New York. You know how it was back in the day.
Well, I'm sorry. It's not as safe as it could be if the cops were unable to stop people in advance who are running around about to break into a store and punch someone in the face. Let's not mince words here. We know what's going on in that city. A lot of it's not even being reported. The cops should have the right to detain someone in advance of their crime, not after the body bag is on the ground.
All right.
You don't read, do you?
Well, I'm not as intelligent as you are, obviously.
No, I'm joking. Do you read books?
Yeah, I do.
I'll send you Stop Mass Hysteria if you want it.
Yeah, I'll absolutely check it out.
Okay, it'll be coming in a plain brown wrapper so your wife or girlfriend is not offended. That opens up one line. At least he's got a good sense of humor. And by the way, he's saying something that most people that I know say the same thing. I know conservatives who don't want anyone telling them what to do with their body, nor imposing their morality. They actually detest the influence of religion upon their lives. They don't like it. They think it's their individual choice, and they're right. They don't want the Pope dictating what they can do and not do, if you know what I'm saying, or such. So, look, the big story today is the sigh of relief in America. On both sides, by the way. Everyone's sighing with relief that no one got hurt. Let's, for 1 second, all settle back. Can we all say we're happy that we could sigh with relief now that this lone wolf nut was found, that he wasn't more dangerous, that he was an impotent man? This is impotence. The devices he sent, according to the best information we can get, were all fake. They couldn't even be detonated. We don't even know what's in them to this minute. What's laughable is that everyone in the Democrat side who wants to be somebody is claiming they got one. They're now announcing new ones are being found all across, because if you didn't get one, you're not on the A list. You don't qualify to even be you have to receive one of these now to be a serious Democrat. You understand that? If you didn't get one, you're just not in the in crowd. I'm expecting more and more and more to be announced very soon. So, look, you can laugh at it if you want. The human condition is laughable in a certain way. No one got hurt. A kind of an impotent nut weightlifter, steroid user was arrested. We can all settle down. We can all agree, thank God, nobody got hurt. So that's it. Now what? Now what do? We go on where we before. The left still thinks the right look like him, act like him. And the right still thinks that the left is insane and suicidal because of their positions on open borders, on leniency towards criminals, their constant attacks upon patriots. And so I don't know that the battle lines have not been... I think the battle lines are just as drawn as they were before this event. Do you? And how will it affect the midterms? Is it going to change your vote? There's certainly Democrats are not going to change their vote, but I'm going to ask you, the independents out there, and my audience is largely independent. It's not really Republican. I think the Republicans, the knee-jerkers, probably listen to Wallbanger. They don't have to think that way. It's a knee-jerk response. I would say I generally get the independent voter more than anyone else. So you, the audience of my show, The Savage Nation, you who follow me and buy my books and such, is this going to affect your vote in just a few days? That's the only question I have. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Now, observing the TV during the breaks while I'm doing the radio show, just like you are, everyone's watching and listening stuff, we want to glean the last little speck of information about the bomber or the van. So I noticed the van, it's like brand new. It's like a shiny used van. All the bumper stickers and stuff, the slogans are all not faded from the Florida sun, which is pretty amazing. I'd like to find out which company makes those kind of stickers that don't fade in the sun. And I also noticed that there's a large blue, what do they call those blue things, like you use them for furniture when it rains? The thing, it was ready to go. It's made exactly for the van. I understand it's an option now on used vans, and it comes attached to the left side of the car so that you can use it as an awning in wet weather, or after your bombing mission is through and you're arrested by the FBI, you can flip it right over the van to protect the paint while it's in custody and being examined. That's going to be a new option on used car lots. Is that little blue awning that comes with the car. I've never trusted people who drive vans like that in California. I avoid them on the highway. Always look crazy to me, with or without the bumper stickers. Anyone in a van like that I know is something's wrong in there. I know, I offended probably 90% of my audience. No, but, look, you got to laugh a little bit at the whole thing. Can't we take a breath and relax today? That they got a nut. No one got hurt. He made a bomb out of something that looks like a cannoli with a wire and a clock. Everyone says it doesn't even look like a bomb to them. It looks like a cannoli, like a hardened cannoli that sat in the sun too long with like a wire attached to a baby clock. What was the actual substance inside those things? Does anyone know? People were saying it looked like white powder or it didn't look like C4. Nobody really knows, and no one knows why there's no surveillance footage of whoever put the devices in the mailboxes, whether it's in Soros's estate. We all know one thing in this case. Thank God nobody got. And number two, as I said to you many times, this guy, as crazy as he may look, was provoked by the rhetoric of the very people he hated. You could say, well, you're justifying what he did. How dare you do that? No, I'm telling you how he thinks. If you're a guy on the bottom and you're poor and you have very scarce opportunity in this country, and you see a party of Democrats who have written you off and said you don't exist. They call you names. They ridicule you. They call you every name under the sun, and they give you no opportunity. And you see people brought into this country given every possible opportunity and benefit, and they step ahead of you online. You know what makes you crazy? Do you understand that? I'm a long way from being on the bottom of society, but I know how they think. Because I know what it's like to be stepped on. I also know what it's like to be stepped on and pushed out. I know what it's like to work hard and get nothing for it. Now, take a guy at 56 who has achieved nothing in his life, and he's ridiculed by Hillary Clinton, who calls him a deplorable. He is laughed at by George Soros, who thinks he's a Nazi. He is mocked by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all of the others. So the hatred builds in his head. So I'm saying to you, maybe this is a learning experience for everyone. And maybe you people on the so-called left could just cool it for a while and stop demeaning and putting down everyone who loves America and wants our borders, language, and culture to be maintained. All right, so he fits the image of a Trump superfan, so that makes the left feel superior. He's sort of a dummy who uses steroids, and he's a weightlifter, muscle-bound, a loser, makes no money. So everyone who has a little something on the left feels superior to him, right out of central casting. And then the van fits the picture. It's not a new car. It's not like an ad for like a Subaru with a happy couple, you know, you know the ads. Like you have to have one of those cool cars that goes to a cliffside every day for another tenting experience. The whole thing doesn't look right, you know. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I've been skeptical since I'm a young guy, and I don't like the picture yesterday. Do I think he could have been the one? Yeah, he's the type, sure. He fits the image, which is why I don't think he may have been alone or did it all on his own. How did he get from Katona, New York to Wasserman Schultz in California all in one day in that van? Did he get around? Did he drive the country back? I mean, there's no like dirt on the car. She said, well, he mailed it. Come on, don't be stupid. Did he mail it? How come the stamps weren't postmarked? Are we not allowed to ask the questions? Can someone please satisfy these questions for me? So let's get past all of this, because I don't think we're going to hear much more about this. And I pray to God there's no Jack Ruby in Central Casting waiting to pop up any minute now. If you're an independent, and that's my audience is largely independents. Republicans listen to a certain extent. I get a lot of left-wingers who listen in the Bay Area, and even in, I would say, some markets around the country, because they don't get anyone who triggers their thinking. And I remind them of someone in their family who doesn't talk to them anymore because they're so bigoted. So at least they get a chance to listen to this opinion of mine. And then they make up their own decision. No one's minds are generally changed at this point. Adults generally make up their minds, and they're almost impossible to change. But if you're an independent and you haven't made up your mind for the election, has this little experience with the bomber story changed your mind? Will this impact your voting in just a few days? KFAY Radio, Jeff on line 3. Is this going to change your mind in any way?
Savage. Prior to this year, I've considered myself an independent. But this year, with the rhetoric that's been out there, I'm voting straight Republican ticket. And today reassures me that I'm doing the right thing. And watching the channels, they continue to say that Donald Trump needs to apologize for what...
Oh, is that what they're saying now? Oh, so now it's his fault?
Oh, yeah.
No, I would say it's their fault for triggering this poor man.
I agree 100% with you.
Let's say for a minute that he really did send these impotent little devices, and that he's a loser on the bottom in plain English. Mm-hmm. Why do you think he chose these targets? Because they are exactly the type that are making him feel smaller than he already is.
I definitely agree with you. My analogy of it is that, you know, if you hear your mom say something about the neighbors, you pretty much just take that with a grain of salt, that that's your mom's opinion. But if you hear the neighbors say that they want people to go out and abuse your mom, to catch your mom at a restaurant and scream in her face, to catch her at the ball and scream in her face, you're probably much going to punch them in the face. You know. So
you're saying the Maxine Waters inciting violence, Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder saying when they go low we kick them. You think that triggered this man?
Absolutely. I mean, Trump had zero to do with what this guy did. I think he was just fighting back.
All right, so, well, he is a fighter, and he fights for us, but are you saying as an independent you're still voting Republican, hasn't changed your vote at all, right?
Correct.
All right, you're getting a copy of Stop Mass Hysteria because I can see you're not hysterical. 855-400-7282. Did he mail the packages? No. No, the stamps were not stamped, postmarked, number one. Number two, any package like this is caught by machines in the Postal Service or by manually caught. They wouldn't send these over. So how did these so-called devices get into the mailboxes of CNN, whatever his name is, George Soros up there in Katona, and such? How did they get there? And why is there no? I'm going to keep repeating this. Why is there no surveillance footage of any of the mailboxes when the devices were put there? They have round-the-clock security. Hillary Clinton has Bill. I don't know who was in the house at the time. They have Secret Service on the premises, cameras up the trees, cameras in the sky, eye in the sky. The NSA has cameras today with such resolution they could see the hair on your nostril. They could see your nostril hair if they want to focus on it. And we still don't have one frame of any individual putting these devices in mailboxes. So I remain skeptical, incidentally. The only question is, will it hurt the Republican Party in the midterms? That's all anyone's really going to ask themselves. There's nothing else. Now, is there any other news out there that we should be talking about instead? Not really. Everyone's sighing with relief today. We got the van. And again, before you turn the show off, Freddie, say you heard it all, take one message home, please. Take this home. The guy has a van. He has a classic molester van that we all know to avoid. We see a van like this coming up to a school bus stop. We call the police. So the man has a classic molester van, and instead of the windows just being blacked out, they're covered with Trump stickers, including the rear and side rear windows, which are illegal in Wasserman County, where he lives. You can't have a van like that in Wasserman County without the police pulling you over. The Wasserman police would have pulled him over in 1 second. So how could you take this like whole? How could you swallow this whole that something's not wrong with the picture? Yes, he's a nut. Yes, he was involved. But did he do it all alone? And how could he have a van like this? The van part of it throws me off. Okay, they found his fingerprints on the impotent devices. Good, I'm glad. Fingerprint DNA lead to Florida man's arrest and bomb sent to Trump critics. All right, so they got the guy who put his fingers on him. That's good. Okay, what about the possibility of further arrests? We don't know. They arrested Syak in Plantation, Florida. They hauled away his molester van, plastered with pro-Trump stickers, and the slogan, CNN sucks. CNN loves that. And images of Democratic figures with red crosshairs over their faces. This is central casting. Man and van, if Hollywood would have done this, couldn't have done a better job. If you were doing a grade B movie and you wanted to, do something that's just not even plausible, you'd get this nut job and you'd create a van like this, and that would be like a grade B movie at night, like something you'd see on Netflix, right? A classic white supremacist. There's one part missing, though, to the whole picture. He's not a white supremacist. That's the part that throws me off. Either he is a Native American or he's a Philippine origins. We don't know yet. But that he's not a cracker like McVeigh. This is the part that throws me off. No blonde, blue-eyed guy they couldn't find? How'd they get this guy? This is the part that throws me off. There's almost something in it for everyone here. He's not white. He's not blonde. He's not blue-eyed. So something's missing in the picture. Maybe they couldn't find a patsy to fit that who was willing to take the payout. Maybe they couldn't find anyone willing to take the fall for come on, I'm just pulling your leg here. How do we know who else is involved here? According to the records, he's a registered Republican, lengthy criminal past. So you left now can celebrate tonight. You can break out your antidepressant pills and share them over dinner tonight. Along with your other medications. You can sigh with relief that everyone who doesn't look like you in New York is definitely a Nazi. And yet, here's another question Steve is asking. The feds got him within a few days, yet no resolution on Vegas. Huh? How do you like that? Vegas, we still don't know why the man was shooting like that from the window, right? No resolution. There's a couple of other unsolved mysteries that we don't know why the FBI hasn't found them yet. So we can move on, but there's no other news. No one wants to talk about anything else. You want to talk about the economy, the market, what's going on in the economy? It's a big story. Give me 1 minute on it, because money is everything. I found this the other day. It's very important. I got this from Craig Smith of Swiss America. Yes, he's an advertiser. Yes, he sells gold. Yes, he's a friend of mine who supported the show for 16 years. But he said to me, Michael, Chapter 7 of your book, Stop Mass Hysteria, will be the playbook on the largest financial crisis ever, not just our lifetime. You point out the dozens of financial missteps in our history. Frankly, sharing things I didn't got. People need your book if they want to save their country and life savings. There are so many cracks in the system. You will see a crisis any day now. You're right. I can feel it. You can feel it. We sense it. Everyone is holding their breath. The cracks are getting longer and deeper daily. And he sent that to me on Monday, October 22nd, after my show. And unfortunately, the market's been falling this week. Up, it was down, up one day, and now down again. And the scare is starting to jitter the markets, by the way. And people are asking, have we reached that point finally of the collapse? Because people are panicked right now. So now the big question is political. Will the Dems take the House? Will they take the Senate? Are the Republicans through? You know, this is all that anyone's asking themselves. I myself am not going to change my vote because of a lone wolf nut with a tarp and a van, a steroid job. I'm not changing my vote because of the nut. I don't feel like guilty that I did something wrong here. In fact, I think the opposite is true. I feel bad for the guy, if you want to know the truth. A man this lost, a man this poor, a man this weak, a man this vulnerable, right? What do you think he feels when he's called deplorable? What do you think he feels as he sees an army marching in on the southern border, knowing that they will receive every benefit the society has to offer and then some, while he is ejected and called every name under the sun? Tell me what you would do if you were a man like him. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. There is justification for this kind of insanity in the minds of those who are weak-minded. And so, therefore, you better rethink your social welfare policies. They're liable to trigger a lot more than just this guy if things really collapse. We have the lowest level since July in the Dow. If this economy ever tanks and the economy dries up that Trump created, guys like this are going to come out of the woodwork and then some. And then you're going to really see some bad things here. No, we cannot take any more people into the lifeboat. The American lifeboat is full of poor people, untreated people in hospitals, VA hospitals. No, we can't take an army of 20,000 illegal aliens from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. No, we cannot. And so the open borders policies of the left continue to be unchanged, and I don't think they're going to change their tune before the election. And I don't think that any leftists are going to vote on the right, and I don't think any people on the conservative side are going to vote on the left. But I do still think that independents, unfortunately, are going to flee from the Republican ticket in November.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or Swiss. I've told you this before, but, if you have a car that has 5,000 to 150,000 miles, you don't really have to pay high repair bills, even though you might do so if you don't get what I'm about to tell you. CarShield, they have paid out close to $2 billion in claims, and they're ready to help you. And so if you take your car in and all of a sudden they say, oh, it's got metal filings or the carburetor's shot, or worse yet, you're going to pay thousands of dollars. That's why you got to get extended vehicle protection from CarShield, right? We know what these things can cost today. A sensor alone could be $1,000 or more. But you also get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car while yours is being fixed for free. So you can save yourself thousands in future car repairs, get covered by the ultimate and extended vehicle protection. All you have to do is call 800-CAR-6100, 800-CAR-6100, and please mention code SAVAGE or go to carshield.com, again, code SAVAGE, and you'll save 10% on their policy. You can't do without it. That's carshield.com, code SAVAGE, or call 800-CAR-6100 and mention code SAVAGE. A deductible may apply. And now the news. Now, I just got an email. What you said about the bomber, Sayak, was brilliant. We should have empathy for someone so beaten down, being called a deplorable. He lost hope. You know, that's an important point to remember. I don't think anyone in the media is going to have any sympathy for this guy. The standard line is, oh, we all agree this shouldn't happen. Well, of course we all agree this shouldn't happen. But I want to put you in the mind of a guy on the bottom, if he is actually the perp, let's say. You have nothing to lose, and the left wing is flooding America with illegal aliens who are going to steal the few remaining threads of social welfare that remain for you. You're a strong guy in your own heart, but you're really insignificant in society. And you're called every name under the sun. You're laughed at. You're like a worm to a guy like George Soros. They all think you're some unwashed Nazi. You start to build up your hatred. You know, how many movies do you have to see about people on the bottom until you finally understand that if, you know what Goethe said, the great 19th century German poet, when he said, if you take a man as he is, you make him worse. If you take a man as he could be, you can make him better. I never forgot that. And when I raised children, and children will act up and do terrible things sometimes. Take your car for a joyride while you're sleeping, race it on Sunrise Highway and bring it back with the clutch slipped. You can get mad at your kid and you could scream at him and call him every name under the sun. What's he going to do? He's going to get worse. He's going to get his back up and become even more rebellious. So I'm warning you leftists, especially Maxine Waters. She doesn't listen to this show. She's got to be told to shut her mouth and stop provoking hatred towards everyone on the other side of the aisle. All of you on the left who think that you won a victory today, it's a short-won victory. You didn't really win a victory here in this situation. What you've done here is expose yourself for the provocateurs that you are. And the more you put down people on the right by calling them names, deplorable and whatnot, the more you're going to provoke people like this, only the next ones may be a little more potent than him, which is a terrible, terrible thing to imagine. And as I said to you, flashers don't rape. And there are a lot of people in this country who are so fed up with the machinations of the left, with dissolving our borders, with spitting on our culture, with the perversion that is offered as normalcy in our schools, the filth and violence coming out of Hollywood. Don't trigger them. You should not trigger them, mocking them. They're very dangerous.